just going to think about it for a minute. Okay, hello and welcome everyone. I'm just going to need to mute things. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar on iearn projects and the SDGs. I am so happy to have with us today some special guests who will be sharing. And also some friends from around the world who are joining. So we are streaming this on Facebook, so you can catch us there and ask questions. If you're here in the Zoom room, you can chat with us in the chat box. Either way, we are happy to connect and share about this great topic today on iearn projects and the SDGs, or Sustainable Development Goals. Okay, so for those of you tuning in and wondering what this is about, we like to run monthly webinars to share about different topics in iearn and connect our community. So today's topic is iearn projects and the SDGs. So first, if you're tuning in somewhere and don't quite know what iearn is, we're going to share about iearn and iearn projects. Then we're going to spend some time looking at the Sustainable Development Goals and resources, and how that has to connect with iearn and global projects learning. And then we have some special guests, Rudy and Frida, with us today from Georgia and Israel. And we're going to look at a project example with them called Where Do the Children Play, to see how a global classroom project can connect to the SDGs. And I'm also going to share a few other iearn project examples with the group. And after that time, that'll kind of conclude the presentation element, and then we'll have more of an active discussion. So if you're joining on Zoom, we'll turn on everybody's video and chat with one another. Perhaps you are already participating in a project and want to share about it, or you're curious and want to ask questions of others. So we're going to do that at the second part of our meeting today. Okay. So if you're with us on Facebook or in the Zoom room, please feel free to add a chat and let us know where you're from. I'd also be curious to hear if you know of iearn or have participated in a project before, or if this is your first time hearing about iearn. So iearn, of course, is the International Education and Resource Network. And we started in 1988 with schools in New York State, with then Soviet Union, now Russia, classes in Moscow. And we were connecting students using the technology available at the time to work on projects together, to learn with one another, and with the hope that they would also make friends and come to understand each other's cultures. Now in 2018, we're 30 years old. iearn is in 140 countries and 30 languages. There are in the network about 2 million youth and 50,000 educators that are all connecting in different places around the world, using technology and working on projects together in and outside of classrooms. So I'm Jennifer from iearn-usa. In our meeting today, we'll have partners from Israel. There's iearn all over the world, and many different countries have centers that you can connect with and learn about global project-based learning. So here's a few up here on the screen. Okay, and just a little bit about what this great community and family does together in our work. The heart of what iearn does is called global project-based learning. Currently, we have roughly 100 global projects. They're designed and created and facilitated by teachers and sometimes youth around the world. And we use technology to connect and work on projects together. iearn has a platform called the Collaboration Center, and that allows for mostly asynchronous sharing together, meaning discussion forums, posting photos and videos for each other to share on the work. We also do video conferences like this so students can meet each other real time using technology. So there are elementary school through high school or secondary school connecting through projects. and across all sorts of subject areas, from biology and math to history and geography to foreign languages. A great diversity of how people are connecting. And we're going to take a look at a couple examples of projects today. So here's just a little puzzle piece I put together of what makes iearn projects unique. Again, they're designed by the people in the community, and they are built up through relationships. And as peers get to know each other, whether it's students or teachers, that creates and drives the project. And it's also rooted in project-based learning. So students are working together towards some sort of creation of a final product, whether that be a blog, a storybook, a video, a community action project. And we'll look at a couple examples today as we look at projects and the SDGs. The thing that ties together all of the projects, all the 100 projects in iearn, is each project must answer the question, how will this project improve the quality of life on the planet? So for the people and the planet, what will this project do to make a difference? And with the adoption of the Sustainable Development Goals, iearn has also aligned each of the projects with one or more Sustainable Development Goals, whether that's having students collaborating on how to have clean water in their communities, how to solve the problems of hunger or gender equality, or perhaps taking a look at climate action and change. So the glue that holds all of our iearn projects together is this sense of improving the quality of life. And now we're tying it with the SDGs, working together for the health and well-being of our planet. Okay, so before we jump back into a little bit more about iearn projects, I wanted to share a couple of things about the Sustainable Development Goals, if that's unfamiliar for anyone in the room. So in 2015, the United Nations came together and identified 17 of the most pressing goals to tackle as a global community in the next 15 years. Things like ending extreme poverty, fighting inequality and injustice, fixing climate change. So this was something that was ratified at the United Nations level. But of course, to meet these goals, everyone, not even just the governments of our nations, but educators and students and youth, of course, who have so much to contribute and such a role to play for change in their communities. Everyone can take a part to be the change makers for the world to help realize these big goals. There's a lot of really great resources out there that are connecting these big world goals to things you may teach in your classroom every day. And I wanted to just share a couple with those of you joining so you can go and explore. So I have some links here, and again, we'll post these, but I'm also going to just pull them up on my web browser. So this is the world's largest lesson at globalgoals.org. So I encourage you to check this out. This is a really great comprehensive resource for looking at the different SDGs and activities that you can do in your classes to align them with different things you may be teaching. There's a lot of really fun things that are happening. You can click on a goal, read more about it, find out more, and also share your information so they know how to get in touch with you and give you updates. So you can see here a lot of really great resources you can download and print. We put a couple together just as PDFs that you can download from those iearn bit.ly links. So whether you just want the really great graphic of the Sustainable Development Goals to print and hang in your classroom, there are some of those there. And I also have a link here that's up on the slides for just a list of resources about teaching the Sustainable Development Goals. So all of those things are here in our presentation, those three big links. And I will copy them and put them in our chat box for those of you who just want to click along and explore as we are hanging out. Okay. All right, great. So now we've shared a little bit broadly about iearn projects, really broadly about Sustainable Development Goals. and the need for looking at them in education. And now we're going to connect these two and kind of address this question of how can we get classes around the world to collaborate and work together so that the youth are achieving these great goals. And we're going to do this by looking at a couple of real examples of what classes around the world are already doing in iearn projects. And I'm very happy today to have two friends on the line. I have Frida, who's joining from Georgia, and Ruti, who's joining from Israel, and they facilitate this great project called Where Do the Children Play? And so looking at play spaces as a way to start to engage children in children's rights, but also many other issues. I'm going to let them describe a little bit about the project and paint a picture of one way that you can engage learners of different ages in creating a better world. So Frida, is your mic working okay?
Yes, it is, I think. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me, Jennifer? Can you hear me, Jennifer?
I can, and apologies, I'm just trying to mute myself now too. So I'm going to put your presentation back up. And just let me know when you want me to move the slides.
Okay, thank you so much. And first of all, I want to apologize if there's any background noise because I'm in a public place and sometimes people are passing by. But I did want to join this wonderful presentation and, and give an example of a project. So just a little quick background. Where do the children play? The title comes from an old Cat Stevens song. And if you're not as old as I am, you might not know this song, but I came across it again when an artist named David Broza performed it. He's a musician, he's Israeli, and I saw a film about his work, and he performed the song for us, and he brings together Israeli youth and Palestinian youth to bridge the gap for peace and to do music together and to play together. And he worked with children in refugee camps to provide them these opportunities. And I was so moved by that project and what he was doing and the wonderful results that I mentioned it to my colleague and good friend Ruti, and she thought it was a good idea. So we put our heads together and came up with this project. So we have a lot of issues in the world today with children who some are in fabulous neighborhoods and have wonderful playscapes. Some are in neighborhoods where they do not have safe playgrounds or deteriorating playgrounds, and they could be in the US and anywhere in the world. And some children are displaced persons and are in refugee camps and had to flee with very little, very few things. And they probably need to have playscapes that are safe and can be assembled or taken down. Could we have the next slide, please? Jennifer, can you still hear me? Can we have the next slide? Okay, thank you. Okay, so for this project, there are a number of components. The participants could be anywhere from K through 12. They could be young children who are just sharing how they play. They could be older students who are working to help their communities. So there's a survey where the children answer questions about the play available in their communities and post photographs. They can explore their dream play areas, and they can also do community service projects where they work on improving the playscapes in their area. Now, we have the schools, and the children can choose to do all three of these, or they can just choose to do part of the project. Currently, there's a group of students from schools in Connecticut, and they are actually, they're fifth graders, and they're designing their ideal playscapes. There are children from Romania participating who are in kindergarten, and they have taken pictures, photos, and of their play areas and shared how they play. Now, I had a question from the teacher on how could they work together, and I suggested that the fifth graders could interview the kindergarten children and ask them about their ideal play spaces and then incorporate them into their design. We can go to the next slide. All right, so how does this fit in with the SDGs? Well, a big focus is children's rights, and children should have full opportunity for play and recreation. These are in the millennial goals. And this play and recreation should be directed to the same purposes as education. So play is actually a very important part of learning. Children learn a lot from play, and so they should have the right to have a safe area to play. All right, so, and the project can run in the fall semester and the spring semester, so the schools can choose. So the culmination should be associated with these SDGs. So November 20th is Universal Children's Day. So we hope that that will become a iearn activity and maybe a little conference and presentation of the project. And also there's June 1st, the International Day of Protection of Children. So we hope that you would find something interesting about this project. Now, is that the last slide for this part? Oh, okay, and we had a practice activity that when we present, we like to do. So if this playground was in your community, how would you rate it? And you can type in the chat, would you rate it as a good place to play? What do you like about it? And I don't know if you want to do the activity or not, Jennifer, but you could maybe come back to it. So this is actually a playground in New York, not too far from the iearn offices. So I don't know if Jennifer recognizes it, but one of the things that I thought was good about the playground was there were posted rules for how to keep the children safe. It was enclosed. So it had open access, but it was somewhat enclosed so that the children wouldn't run out or parents wouldn't come in. So at any rate, and I'll turn the microphone back over to you. I don't know if there's any questions, and also perhaps Rudy would like to add something to it. And I hope you could hear me okay.
We could hear you great, Frida. Thank you. And Ruti, if you would like to share anything as you co-facilitate this project, feel free, but if not, no pressure. Oh, and you're on mute, so just unmute yourself.
Yes, I would like to, I would like to add something about how one project in iearn goes with another one, or how one is influenced by the other. And I am talking about the project Talking Kites. I will not talk about the project, only I will quote something from Janusz Korczak, who said, every child have the right to have a swing, and every girl have the right to have a doll. But if the times are bad, let the wind give them a kite. Okay.
Thank you, Rudy, and thank you, Frida, for sharing about this beautiful project. And if you stay tuned to the iearn Newsflash, there's going to be a spot about the Talking Kites project, as they just had a great culminating activity. It'll be featured in the news here in the next couple days. So Rudy's mentioning another really popular project in iearn that engages students in looking at children's rights and also their dreams and wishes for a better world. So we can come back to this project at the end during the discussion. I'm going to paint 2 more pictures of projects and quickly how they relate to the SDGs for those of you that are joining and just want to see how this collaboration and overlap happens in other ways. And then we're going to move to more of an interactive discussion part. But before we get there, I just wanted to share about 2 other iearn projects that address a range of SDGs. And one of them is called the Finding Solutions to Hunger Project. That is looking at a lot of different goals. The second goal for zero hunger being one of them, but also to end poverty and reduce inequality as well. So in this project, we have classes around the world that research and discuss the root causes of hunger and poverty. That's kind of the big theme of the project. As part of this, it's can align with a whole different range of subject areas. Students can do some graphing and tracking of their by keeping their own food diaries and researching kind of the nutrient caloric intake, and then doing some comparison with their peers around the world to see, what do you consume, what is the food made up of, the agriculture that's related to that, and to nutrition, but also the diversity of that around the world. The activities kind of then progress, and students plan action projects in the community related to hunger. Or sometimes they plan hunger banquets to educate people about disparity and difference in hunger around the world. And then there's a lot of great documentation that they work on. They'll put together presentations about world hunger, or they'll work on photography project, again, aggregating all of the information collected and the project plans made by their peers around the world as part of their presentations. And this is kind of just a picture of how the diversity of people that collaborate in this project. I think in the past 3 years, we've had 400 active educators and about 10,000 students from 37 countries, all working together on these different various elements of researching hunger in their community and globally, and coming up with shared solutions for how they can end world hunger. So if you're in the chat room and you have participated in this project before, please let us know. We'd love to hear your experience if this is a project that you have done. Another quick example that I wanted to give is called the Water is Life project. And this is focused around 2 of the SDGs. One is SDG 6 on clean water and sanitation, and the other one is life below water. And in this project, we have schools from around the world. They each individually choose a water issue in their community, and then they go through a planning process together to develop plans for how they can make a difference on their community issue. So while they might be picking slightly different issues related to water, they go through the same cycle together and support one another in their community plans. So here's kind of an example of the different things that they did and supported each other on. We had some students in Iran doing water filtration experiments using banana peels. Uganda, they were cleaning water bores around the community. Australia, which is where this project is facilitated by a group of teachers in Australia, they did some solar distillation. And in Taiwan, they did a massive beach cleanup. And we had a group from Connecticut who did this project, and their students were able to come and present their work at the United Nations just a year or so ago. They came and did a presentation and represented their partners' work around the world. So in this project, it's a new project, but there's been 22 schools that participated last year from 10 countries, about 10,000 students. And this one has just started up again. It runs from roughly March through June. So they're undertaking the next round of activities to address the SDGs and plan their action projects together. Okay, I'm going to kind of forward ahead a little bit and address this topic of how do I join? Maybe you're new here and you're looking at potentially joining a project. you're interested in learning more about where do the children play, and you want to get started. So I'm going to show you this through a little bit of a web tour in a moment. But if you go to iearn.org, teachers around the world, you can click the join button, fill out a registration form to join. I'll show you how to do that in just a second. If you're already a member and are looking for people to collaborate with or for other ideas, we have a teachers forum, which is a really great place where you can post your ideas, look for partners, and get ideas from others. And if you join a project, you'll see that each of them have facilitators listed, like Ruti and Frida, who are there to help guide the project, support with the activities, and answer questions if you're looking to get started. So as the last thing before we switch to our discussion mode, I'm going to show you how to do this and things to look at. And then we're going to pause our recording and do more of an interactive discussion for those of you that are here joining in the Zoom room. Okay, so again, if you are looking to join iearn, you can click this link here. And it'll prompt you, you can fill out a registration form and join the network. There's also, if you're joining from a different country around the world, you can click on countries and find out more about iearn in your country. So if you're in Australia, you can look there and connect with and email the management team in Australia. Just really quickly, if you want to explore and see more of the projects in the SDGs, you can do a search, or you can search the projects. There's various ways to do it. I'm going to just search a keyword here and look at some projects that have to do with play. So it looks for keywords. I think where does the children play should pop up here at some point. There it is. And you can see here Frida and Ruti, who were so gracious to join us today, are listed. And you can read a little bit more about the background of this project and check out the resources that are linked with it. So every project, you can search them here and find out more. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to pause our sharing. We're going to switch modes for everyone. As we're going to, if you're joining in the Zoom room, we're going to have time to have more of an interactive chat. If you're joining us on Facebook, we're going to stop the recording here. We encourage you to ask any questions. We'll respond to them in the chat. Leave us a message if you're viewing it later. We'll be happy to help you. So thanks for joining and learning more about the projects and some of the applications to the SDGs. And hang tight if you're in the Zoom room. We're going to just stop our recording